Dr. Paul Cleveland. I'm with Boundary Stone, and here we're trying to help you navigate your way through what's often a very confusing world. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about socialism. You know, people speak of socialism. Wouldn't it be great if we got the profit motive out of the production of things? They also talk about rights a lot, the right to education, the right to health care. But when they do this, they're actually suggesting that the government should take over the production or the distribution of such economic goods. Well, how's that going to turn out? And the truth is, it's not going to turn out very well at all. When governments take over the production of anything, certain things happen. The cost of the production of the good, whatever it is, might be education, might be healthcare, the cost will go up. The quality will begin to deteriorate and go down, and it will become more and more in shorter and shorter supply until eventually you might not be able to get it all. After all, they tell a lot of jokes in the former Soviet Union about things you couldn't get. A friend of mine told me one joke that came through, and that was this, that man finally saved enough money to buy a car. And so he went down to the dealership and said, "Hey, I've got enough money, I'd like to buy a car." And the dealer laughed and said, "Well, come back in 12 years and you can pick it up." The guy said, "Should I come in the morning or the afternoon?" And the dealer laughed again. He says, "What difference does it make? It's 12 years. He says, "Yes, I know, but I have a dental appointment that day too." So you see, you just couldn't get anything in the Soviet Union. Now there's another consequence too. Of socialist takeover. It stifles innovation because the presumption is among socialists that we know the best way to do anything already. Of course, it's not true, but it's the presumption nonetheless. I'll give you an example. I took my first trip into the former Soviet Union in 1991, and I read an article on the flight over to Europe, and the article went like this. So it was talking about German reunification. It said that the East German auto workers were very concerned that they would be unemployed after German reunification, and that they were going to lose their jobs, and so they were fearful of this. Well, the West German automakers were trying to assure them that, no, this would not happen. We'll do some joint ventures with you guys. It'll be okay. Well, you may never have heard of the two main East German makes of automobiles. There were the Trabant and the Württemberg. Now, you'll never see a photo spread in Motor Trend on either one of these cars. I don't even think they exist anymore, but maybe the few relics are running around. And so, anyway, we flew into Berlin, and we began to walk around. And in Berlin, as you're walking down the street, I began to play the child's game. Which of these does not belong? And so you walk along the street and you see cars parked next to one another. And here's a Mercedes-Benz parked next to a Volkswagen Passat, parked next to a Trabant, parked next to an Audi. Now, which does not belong? Well, it's the Trabant. After all, they were painted with Crayola primary colors, you know, red, green, blue, black, white. And there was no clear coat finish. I mean, I don't care how many coats of wax you put on these things. You would never see your reflection in the finish. And no fuel injection, no anti-lock braking systems, none of that. Now, what happened? I mean, all that stuff was on these newer cars made by the West Germans. Well, the simple fact was, well, there's no competition. And so the East Germans said, well, we know how to make a car. Now, if you went back to the late 1940s, early 50s and looked at Motor Trend, you would not have seen a marked difference between the Mercedes-Benzes, the Volkswagens, the Audis, and the Trabants, or the Württembergs. But in West Germany, competition pushed things forward in terms of trying to compete for customers. they made all these improvements in the automobile. The East Germans, not so much. And so it just deteriorated more and more. So did the East Germans have cause for worry? Well, yes, they did. As a matter of fact, the article I read went on to say that when some West German engineers from the Volkswagen people came in, they weren't at the Trabant plant more than 30 minutes when they looked at the manager there and said, "You guys got to be kidding. This place, you can't make an automobile in this place. This is scrap iron." So I hope you understand a little bit more about the whole process. Once you embrace socialism, this is what you're going to get. You'll get it in education, you'll get it in healthcare, you'll get it everywhere. So, like I said, it's Dr. Paul Cleveland. I'm with Boundary Stone, and we're trying to help you navigate your way through a very confusing world at times. See you next time.